In this video I'll show you how to patch a hole in the wall, talk about how long it takes me and how much I charge. Stick around to the end. We'll break down the invoice I sent out for this actual job, and you can decide whether to do it yourself or pay me to come and do it for you. So here we are, we've come out to this job. They've had a water leak, they've had to cut open the wall to fix the water pipe and do some repair work. Now I'm here just patching up the hole. What I do first is I like to cut off the paint where the paint is, just to give a bit of adhesion for the plaster to stick to. I come in and install some timbers for the new plasterboard to screw into, and I'll stick a new piece of plasterboard in there, and then I'll mix up some plaster and tape it in and get it all ready for a finish coat the following day. So normally my process is to do all this work on the first visit. Generally I'm there for an hour to an hour and a half doing this work. I'll let that dry and I'll come back the next day and just do a final finish coat, and I'll quickly dry it out with my heat gun so I can sand it while I'm there. And that second visit normally takes me around half an hour. So what I normally charge is 2 hours for my first visit and an hour for my second visit. My hourly rate is $80. That's 80 New Zealand dollars. I add a bit of materials on and then a bit of tax, and that's the final bill. So we'll go through that at the end. But with this method that I'm using here, I'm using a plaster where I can work with it so it sort of goes hard. I only need to use one mix. What I'm doing here is I'm just coating it up, letting that set up, and then I can just leave that for a few minutes and I can coat over it again straight away. There's no shrinkage in this plaster, and then my final coat there is just using a brush and I polish it up. So it's pretty good at this stage, but I always like to leave it to dry and come back the next day and just finish it off, just to get that looking perfect. If it's a wallpaper finish, I would get away with just doing that first visit of 2 hours. So then I guess the invoice would be a bit cheaper then. But most of the jobs are painted walls or painted ceilings, so I just like to come back and do that final finish coat with some multi-purpose compound just to get it nice. And then I'll get out the heat gun. This is an air drying compound, so it can be dried with heat, just so I don't have to come back again the next day. So just saving time and money for the customer. So that dries out pretty good there, and then we finish with a final sand up once that's dry, and that's all ready and that's all done, and that's all ready for painting, which normally the clients will do themselves, or they'll get a professional painter in to do it, but 90% of the time the clients are painting it themselves. Always clean up with a vacuum, keep it all nice and neat, and that's it. That's the patch done. So that was 3 hours in total. So here's the invoice I actually sent out for that job. If we go through it here, you can see I have a little description. I say my work's done on an hourly rate plus materials. I've patched the wall with new timbers, new plasterboard, and brought it up to a level 4 finish, ready for painting. Total of 3 hours at $80. It's $240. Then just underneath I have my materials, a bit of plaster and tape and plasterboard, and that was just $20 worth of materials. So we add those up down the bottom, $260, then $39 for tax, and a total of $299. And I always have a completion date and then a week later a payment due date. So that's the invoice for that job. So that's what I charge. It was about $300. So yeah, so it's a good indication of what it costs and whether you can decide whether to do it yourself. I have plenty of videos on this channel to help you along if you want to do it yourself, or you might just find it a lot easier just to pay me or pay a professional to come and do that for you. Hope that's helped you with deciding whether to pay someone or do it yourself. You've also got to take into account that you'll have to purchase materials. Obviously you can't buy a little bit of material, you have to buy a small bucket of plaster or something. So there's all those different things to weigh up, and that's why a lot of people actually get professionals to come and do it, because in the end it actually works out easier for the client if they don't mind spending a bit of money to getting a job done right. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel and it helps me to make some more videos. See you on the next one.